It's time for another Tuesday conversation with One Girl Revolution. This week we're featuring Lydia Lucas, the Director of Volunteer Services for New York City Relief. I am really excited to share her story and to share her work with New York City Relief. They are obviously on the front lines in New York City, fighting this pandemic, working with people who are experiencing homelessness right now, and they're just doing incredible work. They've been around for many years. Their work has obviously changed during this pandemic, but she shares all about the organization, what they're doing, how they're supporting those who are experiencing homelessness right now, what you can do from the comfort of your own home, and so much more. She will give you so much hope and inspiration, and I can't wait to share this episode with you. We are going live with Lydia from New York City Relief. Lydia, how are you?
Hi, Kate. It's so good to see you in real life, so to speak.
It's so great to see you. I'm so excited we get to do this, have this awesome
Yes.
conversation. I know you and I have gone back and forth a bunch of different times about all the great work that you're doing and yourself and your own story. So before we get into all the great work that you're doing with New York City Relief, I'd love to just hear a little bit about you and your story.
Sure. So I was born and raised in New York City in Spanish Harlem. And I think that my life has just been full of missteps and amazingness and all of that coming together in an amazing way. When I went to college, I studied communications because I just knew that I was going to be working at some marketing firm or doing PR. And then when I started doing that, I realized that there had been so many nonprofit organizations and people who had poured into me that had just contributed to the person that I had become, that's really where my heart was. And so I began working in the nonprofit sector in many different areas of the nonprofit sector, but always really in human services. So whether it was in education or arts education, healthcare for young people. And then I also started volunteering through my church for this organization called New York City Relief, and had done it for years. And over time, through different circumstances, started working there, and it's been amazing. And the thing that's been amazing about it is that as a New Yorker, growing up in New York, you are taught to stay away from those who are experiencing homelessness, right? It's about self-preservation. It's about just really having that New York attitude, right? And the street smarts. And once I served with New York City Relief, it was like I couldn't unsee what I had experienced. And it changed my whole perception. And it just brought out such an
So how long have
empathy.
you been, it just froze there for a second. How long have you
Oh.
been working for New York City Relief? I knew you've been
Um,
volunteering for a long time, but
yeah, so I've been working, it's about a year now that I've been there. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah,
thank you.
I have read different things about New York City Relief. As you know, I'm in Detroit, so I'm obviously not there, but I've read different things about it. And I know one of the founders is actually a woman. And so I think that's kind of how I stumbled upon it, just because of One Girl Revolution and kind of looking for different founders of stories. But that's how I kind of came across it. And so I'm so excited to hear more from you about the great work that you're doing. But before we talk about COVID and everything that's going on in New York City right now, because I know a lot of people are really interested in hearing from you, kind of being on the front lines of what's going on there. Tell me about New York City Relief and kind of before COVID, what you guys do and your work.
Yeah, so before COVID, we had such a good thing going. So we started in 1989 by Richard and Dixie Galloway, who essentially took a huge leap of faith. They had a comfortable life and decided that they wanted to change the trajectory and the purpose of their life to serve others. And so they started New York City Relief in 1989, with nothing, knowing no one, coming to New York. And the work that we do really is we're a mobile outreach. And so before COVID, we would go with our buses out onto the streets or partner with other organizations that serve the homeless. And it wasn't just about feeding them, it was about meeting that immediate need, but then building trust. And so we would set up tables and chairs to sit down with people, to talk to them, to learn about who they are, learn about them as a human being, and also to connect them with services. And so if we could connect them to job opportunities, or if we could connect them to organizations that can help them to find housing or clothing, it really was about getting them in that moment and building trust and moving toward life transformation.
Yeah, encountering people. I think that's something we talk about a lot on this platform, is not just kind of helping people, but actually like walking with them and sitting and encountering them and recognizing that each and every one of us is as unique as our fingerprint. And no matter where you are, no matter what your life is right now, whether you're experiencing homelessness, or I've done a lot of work in jail or prison, working with people there, and like recognizing that each and every one of us have a purpose, and really helping those people to see, each and every person to see the purpose that they have. And I think it also, in those instances, it also can touch our lives too. And I'm sure you've been touched so much by the work that you do.
For sure. And something else that we had in place that really was part of the DNA of our organization was that we would have folks come from all over the country and come stay with us at our base. And they would serve with us for a week.
Wow.
When I tell you that they are transformed as well, we just have notions of what it means, right? Of New York, of what it means to be homeless, what must have been the steps that have gotten people to that place. And when you're able to sit down with someone and find things in common and hear about their stories, it changes you forever.
Yeah. And you're the director of volunteer services. So you're also like, I'm sure you're meeting so many different people from all over the country. And I think it's so important for people to know that those kind of opportunities are out there, because a lot of times we want to do something. And I think particularly even young people, like I did a lot of mission work when I was in high school, but, wanting to do something, but not knowing how. So I think it's really cool what you guys are doing. And hopefully at some point, we'll go back to whatever the new normalcy is. I know everybody doesn't want to talk about the new normal, but I think we're all recognizing that our world has forever changed, but that people can reach out to you, and if they want to come and work alongside you, that there are going to be I'm sure they can do a lot of things now, but once things kind of start to open back up, they'll be able to work with you in other ways.
Absolutely. As soon as we're able to, and it will be different, like you said, but we do want to open it back up to teams coming back. And so we're talking about 2021 and just hoping and knowing that also we have to be flexible and fluid with whatever that is. But the good thing about it, because we're mobile, we have been able to continue to serve where some organizations have had to either reduce their services or even to close down for the time being. But we're able to be outside and have that social distancing of people being 6 feet apart. And so we've really just been so blessed to be able to continue to serve people. And we still have volunteers, locals from New York, who are coming out and just making that sacrifice of time to help us.
Yeah. So I know that COVID has changed it's really changed all of our lives in so many different ways, and so many organizations, how they do things and what they're doing. And I know a lot of things have stayed the same. You've changed some things, but some things you've been able to continue. Talk to me about how COVID has really affected your work and kind of the day-to-day of what you guys are doing now.
So the one thing that we've done is that we've shortened the number of hours that we're out. So we were out for 4 hours and now we're out for 2 hours. It is the most concentrated and busy 2 hours. We have hundreds of people who come. And so it's not just about those experiencing homeless, but as I'm sure you have heard, there are people who are having a hard time making ends meet right now. And so being able to come and get a hot meal, get a hygiene kit, socks, and then we also distribute information about where they can go for other services. So we're seeing more people, and definitely we have guidelines in place in terms of masks. Everyone who volunteers with us gets an N95 mask. We distribute masks to our friends who come to the bus. That's a game changer for them because we're equipping them to be more safe out on the street where they're most vulnerable. We have, of course, gloves, and we're changing our gloves every 15 minutes, and we are wiping incessantly every surface. Whereas before we would sit down with people and talk to them. We can't do that right now. So we have all of the meals in a to-go bag. And so it's changed, but what hasn't changed is our presence. And what hasn't changed is that people can count on us to be there.
Can you share maybe a story or two of, and it could be before COVID, or maybe a story before COVID and then a story during everything that we're experiencing with COVID, of somebody that has benefited from the work that you do?
Yeah, so I would love to share about Christophe. If you go on our website, you'll see his story from before COVID, how he has been one of our friends who we've engaged. And he recently came back to New York and started in a program, a pilot that we have for interning those who we want to get them stable and get them some work experience. So he was serving with us. Again, is homeless, experiencing homelessness, and was serving with us. And we were able to get a donation to have him stay in a hotel. And so he was able to begin to be in a hotel. Well, during that time, he also contracted COVID. It wasn't to the point where he needed to be hospitalized, but it still was quite, I would say he had COVID. So whatever that means, all of the
Yeah.
discomfort and the fevers and all of that. He is just so grateful for the opportunity to be able to be ill inside, to be able to be ill in a place where he has running water, where he can wash his hands and shower, and where he has a roof over his head and is protected from the elements. And it just makes us think about all of those who are ill, who are contracting COVID and have nowhere to go. I know when I'm sick, I want to be in my bed. I want to have that comfort, right? I want to be
Right.
somewhere where there is soup, right, that I can access and all of
Yeah.
that. And when someone doesn't have a home, I feel like it exacerbates the illness, right? Because there's that whole comfort and security that's lacking. And we also were sending him soup and meals and just really taking care of him during that time.
I saw a meme. It was kind of as all the COVID stuff started percolating, and it was talking about what a privilege, not to get in a whole discussion about privilege, but what a privilege it is for all of us to stay home. And I ended up posting it, and I got differing opinions from people, because some people took it very personally. But me,
Mm,
it challenged the way that I think about, just like you shared, when I'm sick, I want to be home in my bed. And what a privilege, what a gift that I have that ability, that I can stay at home. So many people around the country and around the world have the privilege of having groceries delivered to their house. And a lot
mhm.
of people don't have those types of things. And I think it's important for us to have these discussions and share these stories, because we need to challenge the way that we think about things and not just kind of isolate ourselves and sit in our little bubbles. As much as everybody's sheltering in place and quarantining and staying home, as much as that's so important, we need to still remember that there are people out there, so many people out there, and the people that you're working with every single day, that don't have that ability. And so we need to do as much as we can, even from our home. Maybe we're not working for New York City Relief, or maybe we're not in New York City, we're somewhere else. But thinking about what we can do for people in our own communities and how we can support other organizations that are outreaching to these people.
Absolutely. And really it's hard because on the one hand, you want to protect yourself, right, from the
Right.
news and from everything that's going on. And it's important to have that balance. But on the other hand, you want to get out of the safe bubble, right? Because that's the only way that we're really going to have impact, right? And revolution is for us to get out of those comfort zones. And I think that there are ways to do it where sometimes we have this perception, and that's why I love One Girl Revolution, that one person makes a difference. And sometimes we think, well, I'm not rich, I'm not a philanthropist, I'm not, but you can make a difference right where you are. And so that could be finding out where there are needs. And next time that you're ordering snacks, order a box of snacks in bulk for an organization. Order something for some neighbors who may be in need, or find out from organizations where there may be people in need. Go ahead and get a gift card, for a family that may need it, not just for food, but maybe they need toiletries, maybe they need paper towels, whatever those things are. And so I think it's really looking at local needs, and then Also, you can get together with friends, right? We want to have reasons to get on Zooms and all of that. Well, one reason could be to come together and have a virtual party and raise money for an organization. I think every little bit helps. And I think that it's not just in New York, but it's everywhere that we can have a hand in helping.
I love that idea of even thinking about getting our groups of friends together, because I think so many people are doing these happy hours or different things where they're getting a group of friends, even like high school friends or college friends or just family members, and saying, hey, everybody who's on the Zoom call, let's donate $5 to X organization, or let's make a commitment that every time we make a place an order on Amazon, which everybody's doing, I feel like
Yeah.
numerous times a day at times, that you make a commitment to say, I'm going to reach out to New York City Relief and see what they need, and I'm going to have some stuff shipped to them, because I'm sure every little bit helps. You know, it's great to have dollars coming in. It's great to have volunteers, but even some of the things we're all dealing with some of these caps on a variety of different things, whether it's like you can only buy one case of water, or
Mm-hmm.
you can only buy a certain amount of toilet paper. You can't find toilet paper. And those are all necessities that everybody needs. And so I'm sure for organizations like yours, people can give in so many different ways. So I want to ask you, Lydia, can you talk about some of the ways that people can support your work? And then also, what can people do in their own communities? I know you gave a couple of examples there, but what can they do in their own communities?
I think one is to look for the needs, right? And so, what are the local organizations around? And then also just doing that grassroots kind of just loving on people and checking for people's needs. I love something that I saw where folks were getting just care packages and anonymously leaving them on the doorstep of either older folks or folks that they knew that were particularly vulnerable, or even beyond that, some people just need hope. And so, even if it's like, grabbing a couple of flowers and a note and sending that to, leaving that on a doorstep, just bringing back the hope to this time, right? That there are people that are looking forward to better days, and are hopeful for them. And I think in terms of for us, of course, a donation. And like you said, any amount really helps, right? When you get all of these people who are just doing what they can, that turns into such a huge difference. Other things are snacks. And so in addition to us giving our friends soup and fresh bread, we also give them a snack that's pre-wrapped. And that's so either they can have it now or maybe they can have it later on that day. But I know that when I eat, I like to have a little something sweet or healthy on the side. Of that's what we want to do. We want to not just say you just get what you need as we think it, but also just treat them as we would want to be treated, right? Because we're all people. So if anyone wants to donate that, of course, if anyone can get their hands on and can send masks or gloves, we're constantly going through masks as we're using them, but then also distributing them. And then I also think utilizing social media to get the word out. You can share what someone is doing. We have stories that we share all the time about our impacts. Sharing that with your communities, you never know who else could be in a position to help.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is, I think it's so important for people to remember too. This is not just going to turn around tomorrow. I think that this is going to be a long-term thing, and something that we need to think about in the future. And have you guys kind of talked about how things are going to continue to progress for you over the next couple of months or even over the next year? I know you mentioned that you're looking towards 2021 for volunteers to start coming back. But what are you kind of anticipating, or what are you expecting? I know it's really hard to make those kind of things, but you're working with people on the front lines, and so I'm sure that you have some perspective on that. So I'd love to get your thoughts.
What we think for sure is that there's not going to be a lack of need for our service. And we're just not sure, in New York, they're looking at maybe beginning to open sometime in June and just looking at that. But we just don't know we know that there are going to be continued needs for people, and that we're going to do what we can and be flexible and be able, and that's what I love about our organization, is that we can look at a situation and make changes in real time to meet the need where it is and then change again. And so I wish I thrive. Like the number of times that I've crossed things out of my planner, it just makes me a little crazy, but because I'm like, I'm a planner. I want to know
Right.
what's coming. And so embracing the fact that we don't know, but that we can be flexible and embrace the change and just make it work for where we are. At the end of the day, what we want to do is meet immediate needs, see people, encourage them, love them, and help them to have transformation. And so whatever that looks like based on guidelines and changes, then we're going to be there to continue to meet that need.
Well, and I wanted you to talk about that too, because I want people to get it ingrained in their heads that this is not going to change, tomorrow. And no matter what, you're still going to be working. You're still always going to be on the streets and working
Yeah.
with people. And so, I hope that they follow you guys and, that they keep checking in. And I would just encourage anybody who's watching right now that you write it in your planner even and say like, okay, this week, what am I going to do? What is one little thing that I can do to help the local community, to serve somebody who maybe is forgotten, an elderly person or somebody who's experiencing homelessness? What is one little thing that I can do? Reach out to an organization and see what kind of things they need that particular week and have them shipped or donate. There are so many little things that we can all do. And I think we all need to make a long-term commitment, as much as organizations like yours have made a long-term commitment to help people and serve the community in New York City, that we can all make that same decision in our own lives.
Absolutely. And what I have found is that I think personally, we're all ebbing and flowing and going through during this time, right? It's just uncovering things, that were there. But there's something about doing something for someone else that is like a medicine. It really is like a balm. And so I would say that, yes, we need your help, but it'll benefit you too. It feels so good to look out for someone else, to put a smile on someone else's face, to know that you are having purpose where you are. So yes, Netflix and chill, do all the things you need to do to cope, but then get outside of yourself and you'll feel better than any binge-worthy television show, I think.
It's true. Everything's a balance, right?
Yeah.
I think it's so important for us to look outside of our bubble and help people, even people in our own families and friends, and like making sure that we're checking in with people. I think there are so many little things that we can do, but I'm so honored to be connected with you, and I just think that the work that you guys are doing is so incredible and inspiring, and I look forward to following everything that you're doing. But Lydia, before I let you go, I want to ask you, right now it's such a difficult time in our world. So many people are struggling. We're all struggling in a million different ways, and I think every day is a new journey or a new adventure through everything that we're experiencing. What's giving you hope right now?
For me, I think my hope is found in having faith, right? Because I can't look at what's going on. If I turn on the news, that does not give me hope, right? If I look at what's going on, that does not give me hope. But really, what gives me hope is something that I can't see. And I think hope is that too, right? That this won't last forever. It will never be the same, but in it, we have an opportunity to grow. We have an opportunity to thrive, right, as people and help one another. And there's something about being a human being and having adversity and pushing forward past that and then being better on the other side if we allow those adversities to really do work in us. So that's what gives me hope, is that this really sucks, right? But through it, there are some beautiful things that can come out of it. So yeah.
That's so powerful, and I can't wait for people to continue to follow all the work that you're doing, because I'm sure I follow all the social media pages that you guys have, and it gives me hope to see the work that you're doing and the experiences. And I think there's hope all around us. And I know, being from Detroit, hope is a word that we often talk about, because Detroit's been through so many difficult times, just like New York City is going through right now. And at the end of the day, we have to remember that there's always hope. And so we need to find those little beacons. And I think stepping outside of our own comforts and our own little bubble, we really will find reasons to hope. So Lydia, thank you so much for all the work you're doing.
Thank you. This was
Thank
so
you for coming
great.
on. Before I let you go, where can people find out more information about New York City Relief, and even you personally? Because if people want to follow you and New York City Relief, where should they go?
Yeah, so our website is New York City Relief, all spelled out.org. And then, of course, you can follow us on Instagram. We're always posting about what we're doing day to day. So that's a great place to find us. And then my Instagram is I am Lydia Lucas. Feel free. I share also from my experiences working with the organization. So just thank you. Thank you so much for having us. This has been great.
This has been so awesome, but I will make sure to link all those different places so people can follow you and support your work. And yeah, thank you for being such a light and for all the great work you do.
Thank you. Thank you.